Alright, hi everyone, this is Greg from Greg's Whisky Guide, back in Paris, having to record this for a second time because there was something that fell somewhere and I couldn't find it. I had to pause and the computer just decided to cut it. So I have to start all over again, especially all the explanation about Campbeltown history, so I'm super happy. I didn't try anything, so that's fine on that matter. Let's go as quick as we can, but still maintain some coherence. I'm sorry. I'm gonna speak to you about this that many of you probably know now, and this is a blended malt produced by the G&A Mitchell, John Archibald Mitchell company, family-owned company from Scotland, which is the owner of Cadenhead indie bottling, or oldest indie bottling Scotch whisky indie bottling company, and of Springbank and its different iterations, expressions, and this Campbeltown Loch blended malt Scotch whisky. This is a blended malt Scotch whisky. This appeared around 2008, 2009, but in the early 2000s it was this before. With the same name, it was a blended Scotch whisky, so it did contain some grain whisky in there. Did you know that? And yes, it's 40% instead of 46, so it's not a comparison per se. Also because this has a grain and the other one doesn't have, but I thought it would be interesting as a backstory for this tasting. And also, Greg, why do you have some Japanese whiskies on the table? From the Yoichi distillery. And this is a legendary 12 years old. It's discontinued now, and most likely you know that one, no age statement from now, or the new 10, because I thought there were, while tasting the Campbeltown Loch, I thought there were some similarities profile wise with it, so it's the biggest compliment I can give, especially giving the price of the 53 euros I had the Campbeltown Loch, the current one. I know you can find it in many places in Europe. I don't know about the US and other markets. I'm sorry, I can only speak about what I can find here. But before I get into this, I'd like to give you a bit of background of distilling, not distilling, producing whiskey. An overview, as quick as it is, 10 minutes maybe, about Campbeltown Whisky story. If you're not interested again by that aspect and all the talk, I advise you to go straight to the tasting through the time chapters you will find in the description. Well, I will review this Campbeltown Loch blended Scotch, then the blended malt, and then a bit of comparison with the Yoichi 12. Right, so but if you're interested by some backstory, some overview, like you know I like to do, there you will have it, and bear with me and thank you. But before that, yeah, I have not to forget that I'm doing this video prior to doing all the single malts video about the G&A Mitchell whiskies. I have to do. Those who follow the channel from close know that I had to open a lot of Springbanks due to condition of storage there, to check the cork, replace corks. A lot of cork were replaced, corks, and so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you 6 videos this year, not in a row, because those who don't like Springbank cannot find Springbank, will kill me. But it will be some others in between. But the first one I already announced you if you follow my Instagram, for instance, and I think I put it on YouTube as well. Community post. Always check my community post, please. Cask strength 12 years old from 2024, one of the 2 batches. I have it. I had the chance to get it, and I did compare it to one from 2014, which is the last one I have in that 12 years old cask strength category. So I did the comparison with some friends. It was very interesting, especially because the recipe is different. But what you will also see is some reviews of some unusual Springbank in the wood expression series, the Calvados wood, for instance, which is a double maturation of 12 years old at relatively high strength. What I will give you also is my take, which is quite personal and a bit experienced take on the local barley series, though I have only this one, but I tried others, and especially the 16 years old here. And especially because I had the privilege to try some of the early first series of local barley, which were something else, of another league. I think this is good, but this was another league with old sherry cask, etc., and 28, 30 years old or more content. Also, I'm going to speak about this 17-year-old sherry wood, which appeared some years ago. Some hazel burns also I forgot to put on my on the side. I didn't have enough room there. 3 hazel burns and 3 long rows, including 2 variants of this, 2 batches of this, the 28 and the, I think it's a 2018 or 19. Where is it, Greg? 28. The first release, one of the first batches of the first release in 28, and this one from 2019. And again, recipes can be different. So yeah, lots of things to come. I hope you will be interested in this series. Meanwhile, Campbeltown, and we have here a beautiful artistic interpretation of the Campbeltown Harbour through this very nice Campbelltown 1832 travel retail expression. I really like a lot. Look at this. This is gorgeous. So because I don't have pictures, I thought it was cool to see that. So before we jump into what is Campbeltown Loch blended whiskey, Scotch whisky, let me give you a bit of history. I'm gonna go quick on the history of whiskey in Scotland. As many of you know, it is commonly admitted now by whiskey writers in the know that in the 16th century illicit distilling began in Northern Ireland. Of course, there were some, as you can see with Lindores, 1494. Prior to that, but it is commonly known that the introduction of the distilling in Campbelltown went from Northern Ireland, most likely, and specifically from the east coast of Northern Ireland and the Antrim county, where, you know, it is said that Bushmills illicitly, at least, is illicitly, well, it's a debate also, because the Bushmill states in his advertising that the grant to distill was made in 1608, but they didn't say that the distillery was built only in 1784 or 9, something like that. But I did video on Bushmill, so I did explain that. Here we're going to talk more about what occurs in the 18th century and 19th century, where there were a lot of confiscation campaigns by excisemen, and we have the record again. Yeah, did I say it? No, not in this second take. I'm relying there for the informations I will give you, and I will always state when I'm not sure of the info, so you know. I use the Edinburgh Whisky Academy online sources. They put a lot of information there, even if you're not following the diplomas and stuff. If you not compete to get your diplomas. Whiskey Exchange blog as well, a bit of course of Malt Whisky yearbook, and also for a part that might be interesting for you, because it explains a lot, some stuff about Campbeltown Scotch Mist from Brian Thompson. Davin is in metal, it's not in whiskey, or maybe, I don't know. So this was, I I talked about this in my first. I'm going to do another one as much as possible. To year 2000, it was written this Scotch mist. I did a video about whiskey books. I'm going to do another one later on to update. Anyway, so main sources, of course, some of the Kid and Head provided infos I put aside over the years. So basically, what do we had? We had okay, a lot of seized, confiscated illicit stills, a lot of production in the 17th century, but quickly in 1823, with the Excise Act in Scotland, you get a lot of distilleries now granted to distill officially, so there's a boom. Even if there are 30 distilleries at first granted in 1823, there would be way more. Then we get quickly in the following years what you call the Golden Age, with 10 million liters per annum produced, as it's mentioned, and also the Scotch production did increase, and the markets extended with a lot more whiskey imported in France. Why? Because of a dramatic bad event for us French with the phylloxera crisis in starting 1863, culminating in 1875. With, you know, phylloxera is the name of the aphid, puceron in French, which devastated the vineyard, and of course it didn't impact only wine production, but also cognac and Armagnac, because cognac and Armagnac are made of distilled wine, right? So this stopped kind of in 1902 when something was found to a kind of insecticide, something to protect the vines. But problem is there was a recession coming in. Then after that, from 1889 to 1899, which is called the Pattison crash. Pattison Brothers, which were having a blending company, and it appeared they had a lot of bad things going on. They did fraud about the content of the bottling, pretending the old vatted Glenlivet came with Glenlivet, pretending it was a Glenlivet, but it was a cheap whiskey instead. They did falsify different documents. They did bankrupt. They did a lot of bad stuff, and this had consequence because 10 more companies had to close at that time. Then you're going slowly into World War I, and also there's a decrease of production and a stopping of production, and also the production of cereals, of grain, and malt and grains were kept to feed the population during the war. Also, there was a lot of, because of the war, a lot of shortage of supply of material to provide to the distilleries. Then came the U.S. prohibition in 1920 to 33, and at a certain extent, no 100% prohibition in Scotland, but as I understand it, a strong temperance movement that had an impact on production, but also less export sales, like I said, because of the what happened more generally. Now for Campbeltown, there was a decrease of quality that some writers did say at that time, that the whiskies from this region, while at other eras they were praised as some of the best, they have become some of the worst, and distilleries had to use casks filled for a lot of times, and mostly the problem was the casks that were used from the food industry, which was nothing to do with whiskey and even wine. So they had some herring cask used, so this must have been absolutely disgusting, the result. Anyway, the Great Depression came in, also the Wall Street crash. Anyway, between all these elements, there were only 2 distilleries remaining in 1935 in Campbeltown, Glen Scotia and Springbank. While even before that, in 1985, when Alfred Barnett, and you see the brown book there, I didn't spoke about that one in the first video because I didn't get my copy in time, but yeah, we'll speak about this again. Alfred Barnett, big whiskey, famous whiskey writer who did visit all the distilleries of Scotland and Ireland and did a book about that. Very precise observation in there. 20 distilleries only in Campbeltown, he said, in 1885. Now, if you're going to put that into a bigger perspective, in 1899, I found out that there were 161 distilleries in Scotland. In 1912, 120, and 1927, 84 only, and 1933, 15. And like I said, in 1935, only 2 in Campbeltown. But we'll go to the more recent period. And yeah, 1944, Second World War beginning, only 1, but I don't know which one, in Scotland. And yeah, sorry, all the numbers I gave you, 161, 120, 15, and 1 from 1899 to 44 are for all Scotland. So that was a shock for me to read that in 1933 there were only 15 distilleries operating. I cannot believe this number, but it's, I think this one was in the source of yeah, the Edinburgh Whiskey article. Very surprising data. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna finish that. Early 2000, you know that maybe the SWA, Scotch Whisky Association of Producers of Whisky in Scotland, did ask for the suppression of the Campbeltown region mentioned on the label among the 6 that were allowed, because there were only 2 distilleries left. You need 3 distilleries to have your region, official region, stated on the label. And for instance, Isle of Skye is going to get one soon because there's 3rd distillery opening there soon, so that's a good thing. I'm still waiting for Orkney Islands to get one. There's rumors, has it, I'm not sure, there's one that might open on Orkney as well. Shetland is having finally one active, Shetland Islands. So it's only because G&M Mitchell owners decided to revive Glengyle through the Kilkerran brand that an association to Glen Scotia and Springbank, you can have a Campbeltown region since 2004. Yeah, so I think you have it now for all the historical question. Last but not least, did you know that Longrow was a distillery back in the days? Did you know that, where is it? That's a fantastic little book, I think. Let me find the names. Yeah, Longrow and Glengyle. This is a fascinating book. Honestly, I advise you if you can get it, because you can see here some of the distilleries that are closed with very disturbing names that are very close. I use that for a quiz someday. You can pause it and have fun with all these names of lost distilleries, closed distilleries, and the name now that were taken by some. It's very interesting read. You have some small pictures of warehouses, Ardlusa Distillery, but you got the Benmore Distillery, which now is a bus depot. See, so and there was also a Campbeltown Distillery at Longrow, so very interesting as well. You have an old Dalintober bottle for Dalintober Distillery there, and with the people. It's in black and white, but still interesting. Anyways, let's go back to whiskey that you can touch. So this one I bought around 27 euros back in 2009, but it was not my first bottle. This is, I don't have the exact date, but it's early 2000. So 100% sure information, it's at least 60%, Cadenhead website, old website, at least 60% malt. So at that time, again, I don't know if I said that in the first video, sorry if I'm repeating myself. At that time, Glengyle, first release of Glengyle 2007, first opening, reopening through the new name 2004, and I think the, what's the name? The Work in Progress WHIP series starts in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So this could only have, for the first years, 5 years, let's say, batches, this could only have Glen Scotia and Springbank in it, mind you. Now, I don't have the certainty about the second information, so again, with the reservations, I found some sources saying it had 10% at least Girvan grain distillery, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But when you taste it, it is sure there's a lot of Springbank in there, way more than in the current one. What else can I say? The Springbank, it's from this era. This one is the batch, the last one I have. If you're interested in 5 with 100 proof Springbank reviewed in time, covering 20 years or so, have a look at my video. This is a video, there's a link in the description. You will know everything. I think a lot of research in there. This is a version, very quickly, with no back label. There's a batch with no back label. This one is more sherried than the previous ones. I had 5-6 bottles at that since my beginning, since early 2000. I had different batches. Most of them were 100% bourbon or bourbon and rum cask, most likely. So these types of casks that are more in there, when this is bourbon and sherry, and probably a lot of sherry. But it's the cream label. The cream label Springbanks are the ones that are in there. Well, for the Campbeltown Loch blended malt, it's rather this era. But again, we're gonna see it's not as simple as that. So this is a very, unfortunately, very simple label. This was designed for me for a wider audience to have an idea of what Springbank and Campbeltown whiskies are, but to keep it affordable, around the 25-30 euros mark. This I did found in supermarkets of my time. Now, I know that for the English-speaking audience, the supermarket word is not necessarily the same as here. When I say supermarket here, it's to go fast, but I mean hypermarket. Hypermarket, it's something in big malls, big shopping malls, where you have 20 meters in a row spirit shelves. So it's not the local 300 square meters, 100 square meters local small shop. In those shops you don't find these. You don't find these, you don't find Springbank, you don't find a lot of choice. Maybe 10, 20 different whiskies. Sometimes you can be surprised. In those little Monoprix channels you can find Kleinliches and stuff. So yeah, you never know. Of course, yeah, Jajo is another topic. Anyway, so the Campbeltown Loch was named after the loch that's there. You can see a representation there. Like I said, the harbor became famous, and you can see here nice representation. But let's go to the whiskey. So for this one, I'm not sure. I had the impression it was an unchilled not cold, but I'm not 100% sure. I did had this on ice a while ago. I didn't drink it for a lot of time, and I kept this to do a review, so I pumped the air out of it. But So it's one I tried a few days ago. I had to replace the cork again, but yeah, so basically there you have it. This is very different from the Campbeltown Loch of now, the blended malt, and it's quite different from majority of the Springbanks now. What I forgot to do when I did the first take is to mention that this one really comes across as unpeated, or let's say 5-10% very low peat. Lots of these early batches are almost unpeated as well, or very low peated, which is completely different from this current era. Again, about the level of peat and all the variations, go to see my video about the Springbank 10. So lots of, for this one I suspect there's a little share in the cask recipe, there's a little rum in it, but I'm not sure, maybe 10-20% cask, but I'm not sure, with the reservation statement, opinion. Because I sense some pineapple, some coconut on top of the vanilla notes, and the nice barley, almost porridgey feel that the old Springbanks gave to me, the porridge and breakfast with milk cereal bowl that we have in winter. Yeah, even some floral elements, slightly light tea element, acacia honey maybe. For this one, the sheet is completely lost into all my stuff, so I don't have access to the older sheets. So I didn't even try. I'm not gonna even try to score it. But your lovely nose, but of course it's watered down and it can feel on the nose. Let's go to the palate, Stanjeva. I'm fascinated how, though this is less concentrated, than when it was the beginning and the middle, there is still something living in there. Some vanilla, maybe some almond paste, mostly unsugared. There's something very cereally, very breakfasty in there. Also maybe some custard, which I was not expecting. It's a long time I haven't tried that one. Yeah, there's some fresh hay. There's some little citrus. Kind of assorted, let's say assorted citrus fruit. I don't know why I say citrus all the time. Maybe I think of Cyprus, the island. There's a kind of, yeah, light, not too much bitter pamplemousse, grapefruit, lemon and orange. Kind of all of this sherbet. Very sweet, very not very sugared. There's some really charming thing, half floral, half fruity, you know. Overall very nice. What does it compare to? Maybe it's a blended Scotch, but it's 60% at least, 60 to 70 it is said, Springbank in there. There's something Glencadamish, let's say, something very fresh, very clean. Think of, as it's probably 5 to 10 years old, not more. Think of Kingsbarn's Dream to Dram. But of course it's 40%. So if you're not put off by the ABV and you're interested by the history of GNL, Mitchell, Springbank whiskies, maybe you can find that in auction. It's not something very sought after. What I forgot to say, I had the chance to try the 15 years old, which is not much to my liking, a bit greener, more herbal, but 21, and that I couldn't try 25 years old and 30 years old. There were also some special releases around that time for specific markets or Christmas season. There was one, there was a tricentenary 25 years old also, oh no, 30 years old. Yeah, I wanted to yeah, I'm gonna try it. I have not to forget to speak about that. So I leave it there. So with water. More vanilla and custard charm. Little citrus. But still the hay. Very, very gentle, subtle oak. Sweet spices. Was a bit more spicy at the opening, I remember. But overall, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Well, now it's more for history interested people than people who want something gourmet and bold, like the Campbeltown is at a certain extent. So at early 2000, as you see, it's cream, a bit cream as well. They also released that. I only have the tube, the box now. The Mitchell 12 years old blended whiskey, which is probably a wider recipe. Not 100% sure, and I forgot to double check. Just too late now, I'm afraid it's gonna cut. So yeah, so this was nice as well. This was more for me in a wider blended Scotch profile than this one. This one seems to be more specific, but as it contains 12 years old Springbank and Glen Scotia, it's something still interesting, despite being also I think at 40%, if not mistaken. But yeah, if you're interested in that, you maybe can find it. We're gonna move on to the Campbeltown Loch, ding ding, like some say. And for this one, we know more than for the other one. So as you can see, it states 100% Scotch Whisky. Not much info there. It just states that there are the 5 distinctive single malts from the for now, because there are going to be more, and it would be interesting to taste Campbeltown Loch, let me tell you, in 5 or 10 years of time. So 5 distinctive blended malts, so it means there's some Glen Scotia in there, there's some Springbank in there, there's some Kilkerran from Glengyle in there, but it also means I don't have my, there's some Longrow in there, okay, not this one, and some Hazelburn. So it makes it 5. Now, on what I know about the recent batches, oh, also before I forgot, it's ex-Bourbon and ex-Sherry, so it's clearly different, and it's stated on there, on the communications from them and on the discussions I have in shows with Melanie and Nicole and lovely stuff from Springbank. So this one is batch 23 out /122. It was bottled the 20th of June of year 2023. According to what I was told in shows, this one is, and I will touch the production numbers now, I think it's good. This one is most likely made only of Hazelburn triple distilled, so no Springbank per se, so to speak. Kilkerran and Glen Scotia. So it was the 2022, but this one I understand it was a bit of the same. What happened at that time, the Springbank, you know that Kilkerran is run only a few weeks per year by the Springbank staff. But when I see the numbers in Malt Whisky Yearbook, even if they have to be taken with a pinch of salt, it says for Glen Scotia, 1832 was the founding date, 800,000 liters of alcohol per annum. Glenguide, founded 2004, 750,000 liters of alcohol per annum. So while the previous years officially Springbank, founded in 1828, was said to be 750. I have problem with English numbers. 750,000, 750 and 3 zeros. Now it's only said to have a production of 500,000 liters, and I think, of what I understand, it's less than that. So what I was told is that for this there's more Kilkerran in there, in fact, than Springbank. But what counts again is the result, right? So also, yeah, the 21 years old had 60% malt, 40% grain, and many casks were older than 21 years old. So if you can find yourself an early, and most likely with a cream label, and the Springbank 21 of that time with a cream label, like this, but it was a taller bottle, it's absolutely amazing. If you can find that, of course it's very expensive, but if you can try that in a show, on a paper dram and collector's corner, Dutch collection stand, etc., go for it. Anyway, there you have it. And for this, yeah, I have the sheet. What do I have to score the Scotch, the Campbeltown Loch Scotch? Maybe something around 85, I don't know, not much more. This one here is higher. I don't know, so immediately you can figure out, I don't know the proportions, that you have probably 50-50 or 40-60. There's a lot of share in there. The age, again, it's somewhere between 5 and 10, maybe a few more aged ones, but not much. I don't have certainties about that, so I tell you. And when you taste it, it's not super long, it's not super deep, so it means it's not very old. But yet it's very well constructed. So on the nose, immediately you have that Springbank funk with a kind of green, vegetal, dusty peat. But what I love there, it's you have typical currant. The 12 cask strength is a bit like that, and the batch I have from I think it's 2021, but I have a more recent one, or 22. Check. Yeah, 2020. There's a lot of very nice, bit sooty, earthy peat, mixed with some leather, old books. I love that at Springbank. Yeah, for this one I noted when I opened the bottle, a bit of creosote, that now it's a bit going away, a bit of prune, plum, raisins, dark chocolate. Yeah, I love the combo. Sooty peat smoke, dark chocolate, leather. This is typically Campbeltown Loch, and it's typically Springbank 10, and some of the olders as well. So you get all that. It's almost a feeling of cola, Coca-Cola, Coke if you prefer, in there. Some licorice. This is beautiful. Let's go to the palate now. What's spectacular is the mid palate, and the finish is bolder than the attack, which is strange. It's not super long finish. It's very tasty. The best, I would say, it's still the mid palate for this batch. Now, I had a chance to try a lot of batches over the years, and there were some way clearer batches. There were more Springbank-ish of the early 2000s. Those 2-3 last years, there's more sherry, and the profile has changed, but it's still very good for me, very interesting. On the palate you have more of the same, almost a feeling like I noted. Let me confirm. Yeah, there's almost some chocolate smoked mocha in there, which I like a lot, this note in peated whiskies. Smoked mocha, smoked brownie, so very rich dark chocolate, but also not dark to the point of bitterness, but dark to the point of being a bit pastry driven, I would say. Yeah, let's put some water in there, or not yet, because I want to compare this to something that one might not think of, the spectacular, but 45% only, Yoichi single malt from Japan, already reviewed, and yeah, this is deeper. Of course, it's 12 years old or more, so it has more complexity, more depth already on the nose. But they're sharing some green smoked element, I would say, green and nicely oaky smoked element. Wow. Oh no, it's more complex. Wow. It's deeper and more complex. But there is still a bit of something in common. I will say this leathery, almost heathery there at Yoichi, like Highland Park. I could compare to the old Highland Parks as well, that's true. Let's put some water in the tube. Color is a bit darker for the Campbeltown blended malt than the Yoichi. It's not the same glass as well, but let's go back to this. Definitely feels younger and less complex. Also bear in mind, my guess is this is still a small batch. This is probably a wider batch at that time, so more richness. This is a bit dusty as well, way more dusty than the Yoichi. Very interesting. Let's put a bit more water in there, but just a few drops. I'm very cautious because it's not 50% or more, or 48. So we'll start with this. Yeah, more depth. The two, I have to say, both share a not 100% bold impression in the palate. A bit frustrating. I would die to see this as cask strength. Well, I tried some, even older. I have some older, but yeah, let's say 50% matching the comparison, 50-60% relevant comparison, let's say. But on this, did I show you? Yeah, not much info. The tube, by the way, if you wonder, it's mine. I'm doing recycling of the tube to give some infos. Official tasting notes. Date syrup, yeah, I will say, yeah. Brown sugar, I forgot to speak. Demerara sugar. Do I agree with the others? The peat smoke builds in the finish with a leathery note developing over time. On the palate, creamy coffee, salted caramel, yeah, a bit. Crystallized brown sugar, yeah. A subtle hint of peat smoke. So it's what they say. So yeah, did I forget something? Yeah, of course, we're not far from Ben Romach territory. I will review this and other Ben Romachs as soon as possible as well. Ben Romach, which is called the Springbank of Speyside, you know that. I think there's 50-60%, sometimes more, correspondences between those two, but yeah, there you have it. I think you found that interesting. Let me know. Score wise, I will still put a gentle low 90 out of 100 for this, even if over time it might decrease a bit. But I think value wise it's fantastic. If you cannot find Springbank 10, this is the best thing you can buy, aside from a Kilcurran 12, but Kilcurran 12 might be more expensive. So yeah, go for it and let me know what you think. And if you had the chance to try the lighter batches and also the blend. Cheers and have a nice time. Bye bye.